Got it. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the very first Tea Chat with Deb and Kat. And we are thrilled to be here this evening. It is November the 5th, and we've been talking about Tea Chat with Deb and Kat for months, even had fun mugs made. You got your mug? All right. So cheers, here's to a dream achieved. And this is the first of what we hope will be a monthly get together. And I am going to let Catherine just share the background of T-Chat and you know what this all was and why we decided to bring it to you all. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Thanks. Well, for anyone that is new to FIT consulting or may not have seen us yet, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Tisler Walker. I am the founder and a peak performance coach at FIT Consulting. And like you said, this has been a dream years in the making, and it's been going on even longer than that. T-chats have really kind of been a sacred space, I guess, right? If you would say that, for us to get together and just share what's been going on in life. And the official kind of term T-chat was coined around 2013-ish. I was across the country in Boise, Idaho, and doing grad school. And at the time, I was 2 hours behind pretty much everybody else that I knew. And so we would have to schedule time to really set aside so that we could both be available to chat, just kind of with our daily routines and work. And I was involved in sports. And so schedules were really crazy, but we knew that being able to connect and have the opportunity to talk about how life's going, talk about, you know, just things that are going on, different kind of situations, not only to talk, but to kind of talk through and to get some reframe, maybe offer some new perspectives. And Mom and I have always been tea drinkers. And there's just something about a hot, I'm just going to grab it because mine is hot, just a hot cup of tea. It just is something, you know, growing up, I remember sitting in the living room with, you know, Mom in a chair and me on the couch, and we've, you know, got a cup of tea, and you just know everything's going to be okay. And so we started calling these tea chats so that we would have an opportunity to put them on our calendar. It's something fun to look forward to. And so we're really excited to invite you in to kind of open the doors, if you will, to join us for our tea chats. And we're excited to talk a little bit about, you know, what's going on in life, how to really integrate and apply some of the mindset principles that we teach, and really just offer an opportunity to download, offer perspectives and reframes, and just have, you know, quality time to spend together in our genius zones.
Absolutely. We have again been looking forward to this for a while, and it's been one of the things that started as a wouldn't it be cool if we could ... and Catherine and I always strive to be authentic. It's you know, kind of a pillar in each of our personalities. It's definitely a pillar of the branding that we are putting forward as FIT Consulting. And I was so excited to start talking with T-Chat. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Debbie Tisler, and this summer I came on board. Catherine's company was already established for a couple of years, but I came on board as the creative director, and I'm also a peak performance coach. And we both have our coaching certification through the Brave Thinking Institute, which we are just huge fans of. And you will hear us refer to Brave Thinking a lot just in our conversations. And if you've been following us for a little bit, then you have started to see our evolution over video, and getting used to doing videos live, and we try to bring forth an image of, obviously, professionalism, authentic intentionality. We believe so strongly in these principles that we teach, and we want this environment to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more laid back, conversational and welcoming, and so you will notice, a different tone here. We are a mother-daughter team, and we feel, just really, really pleased and blessed to have developed our relationship to the point that we can do this so comfortably. And tea chats have evolved as our relationship has evolved. And Catherine mentioned I'm a tea drinker. I don't drink coffee, and so when the kids were littler, we would have tea. It was a special thing. I think it's, I don't know, easier to introduce tea to children instead of coffee. So it was a big thing when the kids got to have tea, and so it kind of evolved that way. And just the way our relationship has evolved over time as well. So we are going to be real. We are going to be talking about how we process some of this information. How well, I'm just gonna be real honest here. The way this all started is that I would call Catherine and say, "Guess what I've read?" or "Guess what I've learned?" or "We need to start implementing this." And of my three children, she would be the one who was most willing to listen to all of that. And I'm talking about back in the 2000s when I first, started getting into this field. And then Catherine, in grad school, at one point decided to shift her degree to athletic leadership. And so in her leadership courses, she, was studying some of the same things that I had been talking to her about for years. And so suddenly I had someone who had a different level of interest in hearing this information. And so it has evolved, from there. And this whole process of evolving, we hear a lot about change. Change is what happens on the outside. Change is what happens in our circumstances, our conditions, our just, facts of life. Transformation is what happens on the inside. And Catherine and I have both collectively together as well as individually been through transformational journey over the last several years as we have each navigated some major, major life changes. And having these brave thinking tools and studying these principles it's just been a complete game changer in the way that we have been able to just handle and manage and look at and respond to all of these different things that have changed. So welcome to the more casual version of Deb and Cat in our tea chat mode. So
I love that. And, like Mom said, there have been, when you group the last several, what did we say, kind of 2013, 2015? Oh my gosh, almost 10 years. When you kind of look over the last 10 years and we talk about, we have each, both individually and together, been through several different life experiences, several different versions of transformation. Some of that is specifically related to mindset work and leadership and professional development. Some of those are just general life experiences. We like to joke that in our family, we kind of experience life quickly. I think in the last 10 years, we've had several marriages, several grandchildren coming in, several job changes. Between the siblings and I, we've moved across the country a couple of different times. And so in a period of 10
I think
years,
everybody, Dad and I,
has moved around. And so in this span of 10 years, we have experienced collectively, I think, what a lot of people probably experience in 30 years. So we've kind of had this condensed version almost. But, some of these experiences that we go through, they're just, some of it's day to day. Sometimes, we'll call and just today's another day like yesterday. Here's what's going on. How can I continue to implement or improve? Sometimes it's moving locations, job changes. We have navigated together going from, single young adult to married to mother of twins to new profession to, so really the spectrum is quite wide. And that's one of the reasons that we're excited to bring this to you, because there's really a lot of relatable touch points. Mom and I are two normal women going through life one day at a time, like everybody else. But we're really excited to share some of these tools and principles that have helped us become even better versions of ourselves. And they've helped life be better as we're going through it. Wouldn't you say that you feel like life today
Absolutely.
is better than it
Absolutely.
was before?
And I think it's so important to, own the fact that life was never terrible. It's not that
Yes.
things were awful and we had to climb out of this. There are moments that everybody experiences feeling like, oh, I can't believe, I'm in this spot. But as an overall, I feel like we can both say, we live blessed lives in many, many, many ways. And we are so grateful for that, and make a point of expressing that gratitude, because that's an important component of what we do. But the idea that there's something more pulling at us, there's this life force that I believe comes from God Almighty, that is placed in us to encourage us to grow and to become, and this journey. And I met my husband in college. We got married, a year after graduation. Started our family a couple years ago, or years later, and so a couple years ago we moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, after nearly 30 years in South Carolina, where I had been mostly wife, mom, business on the side, side gig always. But my focus was support role and I loved that. I was happy to do that. And I was not someone who pined for a career that I left to have children, because frankly, I hadn't liked my career before that. So that, it was all great. But we get here, I'm in my early 50s, several years ago, and I've done the mom thing. Everybody's out of the nest, and they are doing their job. They're educated. Two of them are married. They're doing their jobs. They're starting their families, and Andy's busy doing his career, and so there was the opportunity to not reinvent myself, but figure out what the next chapter was going to be, because I wasn't ready to just be at home by myself at 52. So the idea of there's more out there, there's more opportunity, there's more to learn, there's more to do, and having some tools to be able to help discern, where do I start? What seems expansive? That's a concept that you're going to hear Catherine and I talk about a lot. Is something expansive or is it contractive? It's a great question that acts as a litmus test for big decisions and little decisions. And interestingly enough, several of the family members have started implementing it, which is really kind of fun. So the idea that there is more to step into, and there is more to become, and that is okay, and that process can be fascinating and energizing, and really, really tons of fun when it's approached through the lens of great thinking.
Absolutely. And one of the things that really T-chats have become for you and I specifically is a safe zone, right? To
Mm,
be able to talk about this kind of what could be next, knowing and establishing, as our relationship has evolved, being able to establish some, we talk about, they're not really boundaries or ground rules, but a level of understanding maybe is the right phrase. That one, this is a safe space, and I can talk about, gosh, I'm so ready for something to be different. But down deep down, you know that I'm so grateful for everything the way it is now, right? It's not a either or. Either my life sucks and I'm ready for something else. Sometimes dramatically, that's what it feels like. But to be able to have the support and somebody in your corner that you can be really open and honest with, who knows that as I'm talking about this longing or discontent with where I am, they know that I'm expressing that in the interest of growth and in the interest of really learning and trying to listen and figure out who the next best version of Catherine is.
Mhm.
And so it's been through that that we've kind of created this space where well, we can talk about longing and discontent. Those are some other words you'll hear a lot, like expansive and contractive. We talk about the four quadrants. That's an idea that we're going to reference a lot when it comes to full spectrum wealth and health and just enjoying life in all areas. Um, and it's really been fun as we've kind of gone through the years. We've gotten to points where I will call mom and say, hey, I really just need the mom hat today. I don't need a coach. I don't want to try and problem solve this. I just need to call and complain, and vice versa. Like she said, we will call, or mom will call and say, hey, this is going on, I could really use a reframe. What's your take on this? Or is there something that I'm not quite seeing because I'm so in the frame? So some of those concepts, um, we'll talk about during our tea chats, but really having this safe space to come and ask questions and kind of share what's going on from a judgment-free zone,
Yeah, that
right? And
judgment-free zone, I think,
how
is really, really, really important. And it's funny, you when you were just talking about kind of the boundaries and the safe space, and one of the things that we don't only talk about brave thinking things in Tea Chats, we
that's
talk
right.
about all kinds of different subjects, and sometimes we talk about parenting. Now that Catherine is almost 5 years into that experience, and the whole idea of I need you just to be mom and listen. That came up, little parenting tip here. If for any of you who maybe have parents or who are parents of maybe college age kids, that came up when our kids were in college. And I'll be honest, I cannot remember where it was that I read it somewhere, or anyway, the idea of when your older kids call home from college, and or they're out on their own and they're calling in, and they're in a mood, and they are ready to let go, not at me but to me. And I learned to ask, is this something that you just need to get off your chest, you just need to vent and be done with it, or is this something that you are looking for suggestions for solutions? And just asking that one question completely reframed the conversation, because it stopped me from going into, okay, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Because that was my natural go-to mode, was, okay, you are calling with a problem, with an issue. Let's see if we can fix it. When really, most of the time, I would say 85% of the time, they just needed to vet, especially the boys who were at the Naval Academy and West Point, respectively. So there were just different things, different circumstances, just different environment there. And so there were times they just needed to vent. And so in that question, I gave them permission to vent. And then they also knew that they could get it off their chest, not have to listen to mom with her 7 different ideas for suggestions. And and it really began the idea of, when you ask the right question, the experience can be completely different and better for both parties. And you'll hear us talking about questions, and asking a different type of a question as part of this. So it's so interesting, the things that, now that we have a different level of awareness and study in brave thinking, we can recognize things that we stumbled into, in years past, and appreciate why they were effective. And not everything that we stumbled into was effective, but but that specific example was one that has carried through. And even now that everybody is well, two of them in their 30s, one's in their late 20s. That there are still times sometimes they'll call and say, "I just need to get this off my chest," or which we're happy to do. My favorite is when one of the previous skeptics calls and says, "Okay, Mom, I need you to help me reframe this thing that happened today because I just can't look at it from a different perspective on my own." Then I'm like, score one for brave thinking.
That's so I'm so glad you shared that story. And because I had honestly kind of forgotten how it started. But that was really a the beginning of, like you said, kind of a different transition, but it also really pivoted the direction for our relationships to grow as young adults with our parents. And we had that sense of, okay, I know. And again, this is something that I'm so grateful and truly, truly blessed to know that could and or can always call my mom or dad with a problem or solution or anything. I'm so thankful to have that resource. But it really kind of opened up the opportunity for us to decide and for us to have a different level of awareness. Am I calling to bitch? Do I need a solution? Am I calling because I just need a plug in and I miss home or I miss talking to somebody? And so, what that did was really allow us to continue to become our own individuals, knowing that mom was always there, ready to fix, ready with a solution. All we had to do was ask. But what is so key in that story that, again, we've come to realize since being in this study is mom's level of awareness in that moment when she picked up. I can't remember if it was a book or somebody you were listening to, but this idea of, oh, okay, I can handle this conversation differently. I have the opportunity to steer it or the opportunity to let my grown children decide what they need from me in this moment. And that is such a huge, huge reflection of having a higher level of self-awareness that, oh, okay, they might be needing this or this or this. And so you were then able to better help us in that situation. And what she forgot to leave out is oftentimes after we would call and complain and get it all off our chest, she's listening, she's doing the mom thing. Yes. Okay. Not 2 minutes later, we would call back and say, "Okay, mom, thanks for listening. How do you think you can help me fix this situation?" And she's always, so it's kind of that balancing the, I know I can help. I'm a fixer by nature. I don't know where I get that from. And this idea of, okay, let's take a step back and really kind of strategically look at what's the best road or best next step to take here. And so that was a really helpful lesson kind of learning early on in the process.
You know what's interesting, and this is literally just coming to me in the moment as I was listening to you talk about that, and I didn't realize it at the time because I wasn't in this study this deep, because we're talking about 10, 15 years ago when you
Oh
guys
yeah.
were and I guess maybe 12 years ago, but it was encouraging you to notice what you were noticing, to
Oh
notice your thoughts,
yes.
and
Yes.
to notice, okay, do I just want to complain about this? Am I looking for a solution? Do I need a hybrid, of the two?
Yes.
And that is the number one brave thinking tool, is to notice what we're noticing. And you can call it that. We call it notice what you're noticing, which sounds a little silly. And you can call it metacognition, which means exactly the same thing, which sounds a little more academic. And but bottom line, it is increasing our awareness of what our thoughts are. And and that the next step to that is to start noticing the patterns of those thoughts and the stories that those thoughts create, and because those literally become our results. They become the thought that is becomes the groove that is in our neural pathways in the brain. And so interesting that that was one of the side effects of of that, and that wasn't the intention at the time, because again, didn't have the level of awareness in that moment.
Yeah,
So
that wasn't even on our radar, but you're so right. That was,
yeah, it
in
was not on our
essence,
notes for today.
I know.
Literally just landed as I was listening to you. So
I love that. We hear you, spirit. We are doing this thing.
that's right. That is exactly, and that brings up another great point of little tip is listen to learn, not or and to
Yes.
understand, not listen to be formulating a response. And I remember where I heard that nugget. It was from a corporate trainer back when I was in direct sales. And I remember feeling like, oh, for many, many, many years, that was the one piece of life advice that was life changing for me from that moment on. And one of those, I, you know, wasn't aware that I was really doing that, but that I was listening to formulate a response. But as soon as and she wasn't calling out me specifically, it was in a training meeting. But she, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh wow, kind of like when you're in church and the priest is up there, talking, preaching, and you're like, oh yeah, that would be me. You're talking about. It was one of those
Yes.
kind of moments. So
Well, and it's a perfect example of something that you learned back when you were doing direct sales. And I remember learning that in grad school. And I remember the room and my professor and this idea. We were knees deep in talking about communication, which is something that I love. I'm a big fan of teaching and facilitating and all that about communication. But he made that same comment about how often do we listen to respond instead of listening to understand. And that was like the moon had dropped. I mean, it was so from another world, but
mhm,
so crystal clear. And yes, I absolutely have done that. And it's one of the key pieces that I teach, that I coach with, especially when it comes to corporate clients and how often we're communicating and how often we're communicating via email or text or now with this whole video thing. And how easy is it to be kind of listening, but oh, I'm about to tell them all the reasons that I was right in the first place
mhm,
and I'm going to knock them off their socks, when really the number one key to communication is listening.
mhm.
And that was an example of a bonding moment that happened probably 7 years after you heard it for the first time.
Yep, yep. And we both have gotten much, much better at that.
Isn't that the truth? Absolutely.
That is absolutely right. So anyway, we have been sharing with you guys, different videos will pop on from our Transformation Tuesday, and that has been really fun to do. And it's been a little bit of a season of travel for me for a couple of different things, which is why I've popped on from different places. And but I love that because it's something that just kind of fits in with what life looks like right now. And but Catherine, would you like to share what our word for the month of November is for our Transformation Tuesday?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm so excited about this word. And one of the things I've enjoyed the most about our Transformation Tuesday talks is that we've really been diving into some different I don't want to say definitions, but we've kind of been redefining these words in a way, kind of giving a new perspective on how to think about it, or how to maybe implement um, what the word is. So, like October was possibility. And so, kind of different thoughts on, possibility can also be a sense of wonder. And do I sit in wonder? Do I, am I really rigid? And so it's been fun for us both in a learning way to kind of, okay, what are some other ways that we can think about these words? And then also in a sharing and getting feedback on the, gosh, I had not ever thought of that, in this perspective. And so coming into November, um, there are several factors that go into our word, but our word of the month for November 2023 is abundance. Oh, and I love the word abundance. It's in several of my mantras that I have posted all over the house. And we picked abundance for several reasons, lots of which you'll hear about on Transformation Tuesdays. One of the things when you think about abundance and kind of this time of year, right? We're going into the holidays, and there's an abundance of joy and love and excitement. We think about Christmas, there's an abundance of presents, an abundant number of opportunities to give. But something that you might not know about the word abundance is that abundance actually resonates at the same frequency as gratitude. And that's a piece that, like you talked about earlier, Mom, we really have tuned in and turned up our noticing on our gratitude practices. And so when we were looking at the calendar and thinking, okay, what could our word be for November? And the first thing you think of is, okay, Thanksgiving. So thankful, grateful, gratitude. But that's kind of obvious and kind of cheesy.
Right.
And so we were like, oh my goodness, how about let's pick abundance? It's on the same frequency as gratitude. And we can explore a little bit more about that while we're training our brains and training our mind to notice abundance in our everyday life. Mom, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. And you might have heard us talk about the reticular activating system, and in past videos, and I'm not going to get super deep into that. It's a little sciencey for this vibe.
Oh, I love the Raz. You guys stay tuned because the Raz is like my best friend.
But literally, the reticular activating system is a part of the brain. It's located at the base of the skull, and it acts as our filter. And we would be bombarded by literally millions of pieces of information every day, and our brain would not be able to handle it, or would not be able to function, with that level of information coming in. So anyway, the RAS, or the RAS, is designed to filter out. So it literally decides what gets in and what gets in and what is not allowed in. And but once we have that level of awareness about how the RAS works, we can use that to our benefit. And so when we say, I am going to be open to abundance, I'm going to be noticing things that, fit into the category of abundance. And then our reticular activating system goes to work to find things that meet that category, that fall into that description. And so this is the same way that if you are, going to do a new vehicle, you need to buy a new vehicle, and you decide you want to get, a bright blue truck, and then all of a sudden you see a bunch of bright blue trucks out there. That is your RAS going to work for you. So the idea of abundance, and again, we'll cover lots of different perspectives of abundance over the course of the month, but the idea of tuning in and increasing our awareness of the abundance that we already have. It serves two purposes. First, it puts the RAS to work, looking for other signs of abundance. And you can have some fun with this. It could be, I have an abundant amount of clothing to fold from the 3 loads of laundry that I did today. Okay. I live in the high desert in New Mexico, in Santa Fe. When I am out and about, if I'm, exercising or walking or running or something like that, there are times that I literally am thinking, there is an abundant amount of rocks and gravel, and that cactus has an abundant amount of spines. And it's to train our brain to notice the abundance that is all around us. And when we start noticing that, and if we do it in kind of a fun, whimsical, okay, right here, No, I have an abundance of debt on my credit card. Okay, that thought is not allowed in the abundance
No, not
conversation.
allowed.
Okay, we're talking about things that are going to be fun and uplifting and positively wired, maybe in the wonder. So the first thing is it puts the RAS to work when we start thinking about okay, what kinds of abundance. But the other thing, especially when it is around things that are uplifting, I have I have an abundant level of love for working with Catherine in this business together. Okay, so that brings a positive vibe that my brain enjoys. And so my RAS is going to also look for things that are going to bring me that same feeling tone, that same vibrational energy. And so, abundance is already at a 500 level on the energy scale, the same as gratitude, like Catherine mentioned. And so, if I can spend time in every day thinking, I'm not talking about all day, but a couple times a day. What is abundance? Right now, we don't have a whole lot of trees in Santa Fe, but somehow I have an abundant amount of leaves on the ground that need to be raked. And so it's something that could be whimsical, could be funny, it could be uplifting, it could be positive, it could be energizing. It could be this is amazing. It lifts our vibration, and we want our vibration lifted more than not, ultimately to create different results in our lives. So this is a fun, thought-provoking way to just tap into the recognition and the acknowledgement of we live in an abundant universe. So let's start noticing that and let's start appreciating that. Anything to add for that?
Absolutely. No, I'm kind of speechless. That was such an excellent,
Oh,
that was such an excellent descriptive. And okay, guilty, as she was talking, I was sitting here partially listening, thinking, okay, what example could I give of abundance that I'm seeing should she put me on the hot spot? And but yeah, I think that, starting off, when we, usually think of abundance, up until now, when we think of abundance, sometimes it seems like such a far off concept, right? Abundance would be amazing, but there is just I am so far away from whatever that looks like in, whichever of our quadrants. So that could be health and well-being, love and relationships, our vocation, or how we spend our time, money, freedom. And so as we're noticing abundance and and to telling our RAS, kind of putting our radar up to help us recognize abundance that we're currently surrounded by, what we're doing is we're narrowing that gap
yes.
because we're going from, gosh, I could use some abundance in my checking account. I could use some abundance in X, Y, or Z. And so we're creating this deficit, this big gap between what we view abundance as. And as we start to notice the abundance that's already around us, not only is it going to tell our RAS to bring us more abundance, but it's going to start to close that gap and give us a more realistic understanding and awareness of, wow, I really do experience abundance daily.
Mhm.
And so, like Mom said, it's the I think kind of the best way to start in the abundance exercise is finding some silly things. I love the laundry example. How many of us have laundry that needs to be folded? I have an abundance of dishes in the sink. I have an abundance. Oh, this is a good one. I have an abundance of unmatched socks. Just, and then,
Yeah.
like she said, for me, I live in Georgia, Southeast. There are leaves everywhere. There are an abundance of leaves. Maybe you're stuck in traffic on your way to work. There are an abundant number of vehicles on the road today. There's an abundance of rubber in these tires. I mean, really kind of stretch that. Okay, this is almost silly, but I'm going to buy into it and try it anyways. And you'll really start to notice the abundance that just we're surrounded by.
Mhm.
And then that parallels again, it's the same frequency as gratitude. And so that also kind of helps increase our awareness of gratitude. And um what's the word, intentional, being more intentional about experiencing gratitude in a way that is unique to you. That's probably something that another teach out we can really dive into. But I know that for both of us, it has been a journey of finding gratitude practices that work the best for us.
Mhm.
And, in I certainly throughout the years, I've tried gratitude journals. I've tried, do a list of 10 things before you go to sleep. And, you try lots of different things, but I have to say, this kind of abundance exercise has really been helpful in me grounding a better gratitude practice that's really more authentic and, and I don't want to say real. I can't quite find the word, but it just really grounds it.
I think that's a really, really good point because when you're in this study, okay, this mindset work, there are lots of different practices, different modalities, and over time we will introduce different things to see what resonates with with people and with clients share what resonates with them and what other things maybe not so much and that's one of the things that we do is try and help clients come up with the tools that that work best for them and but it really is about the energy that is okay if a gratitude journal for example if I approach my gratitude journal with oh man it's 10:15 I'm ready to go to
Oh,
bed
this
but I
was
haven't done my
me. This
gratitude
was
journal I've
so
got to
me.
sit at then the energy that is around that is not nearly as effective as I'm out walking and oh my goodness, what a beautiful day. One of my favorite things about Santa Fe is the color of the sky is this just vibrant, vivid blue almost every single day. And so just sitting in the I just feel so grateful to live here and and to be able we've got a walking path adjacent to the neighborhood and so to be able to do that and just experience really notice you turn up that noticer really notice it that is more authentic even if I didn't come up with 15 things that I'm grateful for in that
Yes.
moment and it's that authenticity and that the real feel the real feelings and then the other thing is that when we do some of these could be whimsical, could be humorous, type of abundance things that we call out, and it reminds us that abundance is not always about money.
Yes.
And this is something we'll get into in deeper, on one of our Tuesday transformation calls, but or videos. But there are it's so easy to feel like man if I just had more money then I could fix this and this problem or situation or whatever and but truthfully how about an abundance of new ideas how about an abundance of
Yes.
new perspectives new relationships new opportunities all of that can be so much more expansive and could bring you more money, if that's
Yes.
one of your objectives. So the idea of reframing and reviewing, meaning not going over and over and over again, but viewing from a different angle, from a different perspective. That is the crux of the work that we do and that we teach and that we love to coach clients on. And because it is that is the crux of the transformation that happens within.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you shared that. And yeah, stay tuned for our transformational Tuesdays because the whole disassociating the word abundance with money, that's huge and really impactful for all the reasons that you said. And in addition, or kind of as a next step maybe on this idea of transformation and how we are really grateful to be able to support people through their journey of transformation to becoming what they would who who they would really love to be. Mom, do you want to start kind of going through our what's on the calendar for this month?
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of abundant, we have a lot of things going on, and this
Yes.
this has all been part of the plan. We're creating systems. We've created some courses. Putting things into play, unveiling and unrolling them over the course of the fall, and so tea chat. Obviously, this is our first tea chat. We will be doing those every first Sunday, the first Sunday of every month, and they will be 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and then the appropriate in the middle. And so, go ahead and put it on your calendar because we would love to see you. And then this coming Wednesday, so a couple days from now, November the 8th, I am hosting a Power of Vision workshop. And I'm actually doing two of them, same workshop. One is midday, one is in the evening. Again, the times are same thing, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, and broken out in the middle. And that's about an hour, an opportunity to just do a little bit of, well, some visioning. So what would I love life to look like? And there's a process that we go through to kind of start that. So those are free, and we would love that. You do need to register because there's a Zoom link, and we want to kind of make sure that we've created a safe space for people to be sharing if they would like to share. So anyway, you do need to register. There's Eventbrite links on the Facebook page, which is our FIT community Facebook group. And you can always reach out to Catherine and I via email. It's either CAT at fitpeakperformance.com or Deb at fitpeakperformance.com. And then a week later on Thursday, November the 16th, Catherine is going to host Power of Vision in Business. So this is for anyone who's in a business environment, and that you could be one of the worker bees, you could be in middle management, you could be the CEO. It is extremely helpful to have a vision for how you would love your role in said company to play out. And so similar content, just with a little bit different emphasis. And that will be on Thursday, November the 16th. Our Confidence Redefined course is ongoing, and we have loved working with this material. It is just so energizing and so expansive and so impactful. So we will be beginning a new Confidence Redefined course. I think it's the second week in January. I want to say the 14th, something like that.
I think you're correct.
So watch for more information, but that will be coming to kick off the new year. And we have a new Dream Builder program that is starting on November 30th. That's the 12-week program. And you can go to our FIT consulting website, which is fitpeakperformance.com. Click on Impact, and you will see some of the testimonials from current clients who are going through this program and how impactful it has been. So that starts on November the 30th. And then, as always, we set aside some time each week to offer mini coaching sessions. Those are roughly 30 minutes. They're one-on-one with either Catherine or I. And it's an opportunity to just see what's going on in your life. Where might you be interested in getting some support? What could that support look like? And but most importantly, it's what are you experiencing? What are some of the circumstances or conditions that you feel might be honing you in, or kind of trapping you in and keeping you limited? And then what would you really love life to look like? And sometimes just having that conversation is enough to bring you the sense of curiosity and the sense of wonder and the sense of wow, that can start some energetic shifts. And if you would like to look at having some more structured support with that, then we can share some of our programs with you. But those mini coaching calls are absolutely free. There is absolutely no obligation, and we love doing them, and we get really great feedback from them as well. So I would encourage you guys to reach out if you'd be interested in that. So that's what's on my list. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's great. I just want to add on the mini coaching sessions. One of my favorite pieces, besides that they're free, is that really it's an opportunity to be completely focused on you. And we have the privilege to, and the honor really, to be able to prompt a question in a safe space of what would you love? And I'm going to make a note of this in another tea chat. Let's dive into when you first asked me that question.
Oh,
because
yeah.
that really that was a major life pivot
That
moment.
was a catalyst.
And
That was a
that was
catalyst for a major life transformation. Yeah.
absolutely. And so we often don't give ourselves permission to dream or permission to vision because of all of the reasons that we could never achieve whatever it is that we would love. And so I love being able to create a safe space and ask you and prompt you, what would you love? And really give you the permission to share it with no judgment, no expectation, no, oh my God, she's crazy. What is she thinking that she can? To be able to just one of our mentors, Mary Morrissey, she is the founder of the Brave Thinking Institute, which Mom mentioned. But she has this thing where she will just stand and extend her hands and look you in the eye and just hold this space for you and give you permission to just unleash what you would love. And so that's my absolute favorite part about the mini coaching sessions. Like I said, or like Mom said, it's just, 30 to 45 minutes of us giving you the floor and holding out space and support for your vision and what you would love. So absolutely check those out. And we didn't really talk about this, but Mom, I would love to end um, our first tea chat with an I am statement, and
Oh,
invite you guys to join us in kind of this being our I am statement for the month. Um, there's a lot of power behind an I am statement.
mhm.
You're really claiming, stepping into whatever the word is that you are saying, I am. I'm actually also really learning the biblical significance of I am, and that's been really fun to kind of deep dive into as we're talking about this in the transformation space. I'm going to get goosebumps saying this. What I would love to invite you to join us in is an I am statement that is, I am doing this thing. And
Uh,
whatever this thing is for you, whether
mhm.
it is, I'm doing this thing with in any of our quadrants, health and wellness, love and relationships, vocation, time and money freedom. Maybe this is an invitation for you to say, I am doing this thing. I'm going to give this transformational stuff some extra thought and
Mhm.
really see if I can apply some of these principles. But also every day when you wake up, you have the opportunity to do the day. I mean, to really do this thing and be intentional and invested in what it is that you do. And sentimental moment, I'm kind of feeling overwhelmed with joy and pride and just this, oh my gosh, Mom, we did it. We are doing this thing.
We are doing
And,
this thing.
and so I
Absolutely.
just would love to invite you all this month to write it everywhere. Write it on your fridge, do a note in your phone, put it in your car. Just, I invite you to step into, I am doing this thing with us and know that we are holding positive energy and space for you, for everything that you're doing, and all of your, dreams and visions of you becoming the best version of you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a great idea, and certainly an I am statement you and I have used more than a few times, and it
Yes.
is super effective. So, just another call to action would be go ahead and mark your calendar for the first Sunday in December, which
Yes.
will be December. Got my calendar right here, December the
Third, I
third.
think.
And I'm sorry.
Third, it's my husband's birthday, so
Oh,
it
great.
is
Okay.
the first
So
Sunday.
so anyway, December the 3rd, and if you will go ahead and mark that so that you don't miss out. And we also are going to incorporate Q&A. If you have any questions that you'd like to bring to us, and we would love for this to evolve into a conversational type of a space. And so if you have questions about, what whatever, could you give us an example of
Yeah.
this, or could you explain this a little bit more detail, that kind of a thing, then you can always bring those to T-Chat with Deb and Kat, and we would be delighted to answer those. So I think that's kind of it for today. But
Yeah, I
thanks
think that's it
everybody
for now.
for whether you're
Thanks, you
live
guys.
or whether you're watching the replay. The replays for these will be on our website, not on the Facebook page. They'll be on the website. And going back and watching replays of videos and things that we have posted is a great way too to just put your big toe into some of this
Yes.
material. So, but thanks for being a part of our kickoff for Tea Chat with Deb and Kat, and we will see you next Sunday. Or I'm sorry, next
Sounds
month.
good. Cheers.
Okay, cheers.
Bye, everyone.